This is JD. Welcome to my channel. And the question I have today is, can this watch bounce be repivoted? This is an Omega made Regina watch, vintage pocket watch from around 1911, and I probably can make a bounce staff for this, but it might be a bit difficult. If I can repivot this balance staff, then it would be nice. So this is the bottom half of the balance, and this is where the roller table would fit, and the safety roller as well, with the impulse jewel. So that's the bottom half of it, so it's a tapered shaft, and then with the pivot broken off on that side. And this would be the top half of the balance, where the hairspring stud would be staked on right there, and the pivot is also broken on this side. So the challenge here will be to repivot, and the technique would be to finish off the end of this so it's flat, and then be able to drill in to procure or to get the right material needed to actually repivot this. Here we have the two sides of the balance staff. This side of the balance staff is where the hairspring would be, and the pivot is broken on that, obviously. And this side of the balance staff is where the roller table would be with the impulse jewel, and the pivot is also broken off on this side as well. So I will be flattening or surfacing off the end of that. And I'll be flattening the end off of this side here to allow me to actually start drilling a hole. But I need to find the right size material for this. So the smallest piece of wire I can find is this blued steel, which I would normally be using to make a balance staff. I'd make the balance staff with a bigger piece actually, but I would take this blued steel, and I actually have to shape it down to a smaller size in order to fit it in to this particular balance. So I would need to drill quite a small hole here. The hole would need to be just slightly smaller than the diameter. Get rid of that hair on the end. Slightly smaller than the diameter of the end here of this pivot, to go into the shaft quite a distance to allow me to have leftover wire on the end, and I'd want to make it so that I can shape the end wire here into the right size pivot. So, and you can see that this has to be shaped quite down quite a bit. So very tricky to have to re-staff one of these. I've re-staffed bigger balances before, and I've cut them back right back to this part here, and then had to put the wire in there. So there's other types of wire I can use, but the blued steel is the best type to use because I can actually reshape a pivot with the blued steel after. But the first thing I need to do is chuck this up on a lathe, and then flatten the end here, if I could say that term. I think there's a proper term for that. It's not flattened, but I could take the end here and then and flatten that off to allow me to start making the hole to receive the wire. And then I have to determine how big of a hole do I need by measuring the end here, and then going slightly down by probably 1/5 of the size to allow it to have enough material for strength. Right, that's the tricky part here for doing this job. Now these are some of the drills I have, the drill bits I have, and the problem I'll have with this is that the drill bit here is only slightly smaller than the diameter of this. So I need to find a tapered drill bit that's small enough, and perhaps this is the one here, that's small enough to be able to drill this hole. This probably is the right size right there, to drill the hole and allow enough strength, remaining strength. So the very difficult part of using this drill bit to drill this hole is the drill bit snapping off. And if I just put this drill bit very carefully over the top of this, you'll see the width here of that is, so that's not too bad, and I think I can get inside that with this particular drill bit, but I need to take it very slowly. And this drill bit that I have here has already been tapered. The end of this has been tapered with a, I'll call it a Morris taper of 3 to allow me to chuck that up and put that into my rig. So I'm going to do, the first video will be the setup of all this, and then the second video will be drilling the actual hole that I need on both sides. And if I look at the other side of this, I'm not sure if this drill bit is appropriate. Well, yeah, it is. I think I can use this drill bit as well. If you look at that very carefully, I probably have enough width there, right, to hold the second pivot. So, but I will measure this first, and just in case I can't do this properly, so that I have to make a brand new balance staff, and I'll cut the staff to these dimensions if I need to. So, but first I'm going to try to repivot, and if I can't repivot, then I'll build a balance staff to these dimensions. So I need to measure this balance staff to the appropriate dimensions, or I'm in trouble. So there you go. That's the job at hand. And just so you can see how small this is, I'm pinching this balance with my fingers, and that's the size of the work I need to do. It's micro work. So here I have the lathe dog that I need for the repivoting work, and I have right now I have a drill put in there. I'm not sure of the size of this drill. I'll have to check that, but this is a tapered drill, and the part would lean against here and be chucked up. But the first thing I need to do is make sure I've got the right size drill bit, and I need to make sure that the hole on the dog size is the right size so that the balance staff can actually lean in that hole to support it while it's being drilled. So that's the second phase after I flatten the surface a bit to get it prepared for the drilling. So again, if you look at this, I've got the tailstock here, and this is leading up to my I'll call that the lathe dog here, and with the tapered drill bit on the end, and then this is where the headstock is, and I've got to put the right chuck in there to make sure that's all set up properly. So this is what it kind of looks like from afar, and I've got an old lathe motor in the back here. It's a very old lathe motor, and with a leather belt. So I've got the leather belt in here, and I make my own belts, and that's how this whole thing is set up. So I'm going to chuck this up with a size 8 chuck, which seems to be the right size for the balance staff. And there we go, it's chucked up right now. So I just need to put the belt on the motor and see if I can get some action here. So belt up the motor. And I think I can get some action going on here. And here's another view of the balance that's chucked up here. And all I need to do is kind of file that flat, so I know it's ready to be prepared for the drilling. So here we go. We're just going to use a diamond file I have. I've got tons of different types of files. I could also use a stone to do this, which I might do. I'll just see how well this file works, filing this. I want to just be very careful to avoid the arms of the balance. There. And use a little piece of Rodico to clean the end off. I may actually have to get a little closer with my glasses. And here I'm using ×20 glasses. As I get close to the end, I may use a stone to finish it off. Although it seems to be working quite well. And just dab the end there with Rodico to pick up any of the metal and have a look. That's not too bad there, so I'm going to give it a little tiny bit more here, and then I'm going to try to finish it off with a stone. That's pretty good there, so I don't think I'll use the stone on this, but I will now need to create the center for this. Alright, now I've put a graver in. That's your traditional angled graver, and I need to get in super close. I may hit the camera with my head, so I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm going to try to create a small hole. And I'll have to show you the camera setup because it's so tight right now. That might suffice right there. I need to get rid of my tool rest, use a little bit of Rodico, and see what I ended up with. I actually ended up with a center nubby, which I have to get rid of. So you can't have a center nubby in there, otherwise it's not going to let the drill bit get inside the center. So I've got to get rid of that little. There, I think I've gotten rid of it. So again, check it with Rodico. Just have to dab it with the Rodico to clean it up a bit. And then have a close look at what I've got. Okay, that looks, I think that looks good there. I think it's centered. And I have a chance here at getting the hole done properly. Have a look at that again. Yeah, I think that's good. So I do have a chance at getting that done. And I'm going to look at the drill bit to see if it's the right size now. Now here I want to get the drill bit as close to that end piece as possible so I can see if that's drill bit is the right size. I think it is. See, if you look at that, it looks like it's got the right diameter. I think this is the smallest drill bit I have, which is great because it's already aligned up with the dog. I don't have to reline that up. As you can see, and that drill bit will just drill right into that, right in there. Yeah, that's good. So now I just have to make sure, I just have to push that dog in towards the end there. And then you have to have cutting fluid in here or it won't work. This is what the cutting fluid looks like. I'm going to take the cutting fluid here and put a little tiny bit of cutting fluid on the end of this stick here, and then hopefully be able to just touch the cutting fluid onto the drill bit and the end piece so I can proceed to drill. Looks like that's too big. I'm going to clean that off and try again. So I'm going to use a needle and put the cutting fluid on the needle. You don't need a lot, but you do need enough. I'll leave that on my finger so I can ride that cutting fluid down and onto the part ever so carefully. Put that on the drill bit and the hole. Now I do have some on the balance right now, so I'm going to have to clean that balance anyway when I'm done. But let's just see if I can move this forward enough that the balance staff is tucked into where the hole is for the dog. And then I can start cutting and see if this works. Doesn't work, then I'm in trouble. I can see very small bits of material coming out. So I'm going to back this off now and use my Rodico to dab it and see if I've progressed at all with this hole. And the good news is, yes, I have. I'm going to clean off the drill bit and get my finger in there maybe and put a little bit of cutting fluid on the end. I don't think my finger will work, so I'm just going to use the needle again and put some cutting fluid on the end. This is very difficult work, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And just like the when you're using that fluid to do watch stuff. I'm just looking and see how far this Put a little bit of pressure on the drill bit. And rotate it just a bit until I see material coming out the end. And you don't want to heat it up too much or it'll snap. If it snaps, I'm making a balance staff. There a little bit, and then back it off again. Like this. I can actually push it forward to see how far that drill bit is entering the hole here. It is entering the hole. Not a lot, but enough. Yeah, and I'll just move it forward again into place. Tighten the tailstock. I may have to sharpen this drill bit on the end as well. I'm not sure. It all depends on how soft the material is that I'm drilling into for this staff. So I'll back that out again, clean that up with Rodico. And then clean the drill bit off on the end. And let's see how far I went in with the drill bit. It's a little ways in, but not super far, so I may have to sharpen the end of this drill bit. So to do that, I need to get a piece, I need to get some diamond plate to sharpen that drill bit. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Now to do this, I need to remove the drill bit from the tailstock, like that. And then it is tapered in there, which is, there's a Morse taper of I think 3 in there that I've made. And I have diamond plates. This is a 3000 grit diamond plate. And I need to use that diamond plate to sharpen the tip here. Now this is almost impossible to do under the camera, but I'm going to try here. So I'm going to take the diamond, the end here of this drill bit, and I need to just rub that on the diamond plate to create a point. It's kind of creating a bit of a hat. If I look at that, the hat has been created, and that should facilitate drilling into the material. So I'll just move this diamond plate out of the way and put the drill bit back into the tailstock. Now to do that, I've just got the tailstock here. This is a tapered bit, so I just put it in like this. And I have to very, very carefully put it through the center of this rig that I have set up here, because this rig is something that I specifically set up for drilling. And so I move that in like that. And then before I actually oil it, I'm going to make sure it fits through, so I do that to fit it through, like that. And I'm going to back this off a bit, like this, and apply a bit of cutting oil that I already put on the end of this needle. So I can put it on the tip of the part in the hole, like that, versus putting it on the drill bit. Either way works fine. And then I'll move forward here. Now I'm going to allow the drill bit, I'm going to allow it to find home here, right? So I'm going to push it forward and then allow the dog here to find home. And that supports the part for spinning. And then tighten the tailstock. And then I need to apply power again and see if this is going to provide better cutting. The tricky part here is to apply enough pressure so that it actually does the cutting without snapping the drill bit. That is very difficult. I'm going to pull it back again. Try not to be too brave. And then loosen that up and then pull it back and get the rodico out, clean it up, and see how deep I went. I may have to sharpen that drill bit again, but I'm going to just look and see how deep I went into that part. I'm getting a bit more in, but I think I'm going to have to sharpen this drill bit again. So this is the last one I'll do, and then I'll make the video so you can basically see how this works. And this is the drilling part. So I'll make this video and I'll make another one for the next phase. But here we go. I sharpen the end again. And I'm allowing the part to push the drill bit back. And that's important because you want to have the end of that balance aligned with this dog here for support. Here we go. I don't think running it fast helps, by the way. It's just my foot is, I'm going to pull that back again, loosen the tailstock, get rid of the cutting oil so I can see the hole, like that, and then clean off the end here. And I'll push that close to the part again and see how far that's gone in. I think it's getting a bit better. Looks like it's gone in a bit further. That's always good. Anyway, that's it. That's the video for now. I hope you enjoyed this. This is not easy work, by the way. This is very challenging work. You can see in the video that it's going in a bit now. So it's actually easier to see in the video than it is to see just using my eye because it's so close. So anyway, that's it for the video. I'm going to make this video and then I'll just proceed to drill this out and drill the other side out before I actually repivot.